She's a planet, cause she's called. She goes wide. Rising high.
I remember in seventh grade, this guy named Melvin walked me home from school, and we went into that. He was carrying my clarinet, and we kissed. And that was my first kiss in seventh grade. And I remember all these feelings and emotions I got on the inside. And my mama like to say, my thing was thumping. Like it was a wonderful feeling.
Your thing?
My thing was thumping, girl.
Thumping.
Yes, it was the best feeling in the world. So at that time, my mama lived in Memphis back then. And I remember I got on that phone and I called. I was like, mama. Like, girl, what you want? I'm like, I just kissed Melvin Brooks. I want to have sex with him. She was like, girl, for what? I say, my thumping. She said, girl, that feeling gonna go away. I was like, mama, it's not. It feels so good. I want to. I promise you, baby, it's gonna go away. I said, but if it don't, what? What do I do? She's like, girl, go to your sister and get a rubber. And that was her advice.
What?
I promise you, call your sister and get a rubber. But if she knew I wasn't going to do it because the feeling went away, she knew nothing was going to go down. But that was my first kiss. My first experience of being turned on was from my very first kiss. And so because I had one parent who was very open and allowed me to experience life, and her thing was, long as I know where you at, what you doing, I'm good. It's either you're going to go one place and sit there or you're going to do it under my eyes. And that's how she was. I could smoke around her, drink, get my back broke. Like my mom was always a fun parent, but at the same time, there was no disrespect. Like, no, it was respect. It was still respect. We had to talk about stuff, and she made me feel comfortable about being in my own skin and being a young woman, being able to come to her and ask her about things that I didn't know about. Like,
so that kind of goes back to you not necessarily having that friend group, but
my mom was my best friend. My mama was and it's crazy you say that because church taught me that you're not your child's best friend. And as I started parenting and getting into church, I ain't your best friend, I'm your mama. But my mama was my best friend. Like, my mama taught me how to suck dick. Like, she told me how to suck balls and dick. Like, we would have these kind of conversations. I'm dead serious. And it never made me feel like, as a mother, if my daughters came to me want to know these things, I would tell them how to do it. Because that's how my mama, raised me. And even to this day with all three of my kids, very open conversations. It's nothing they don't tell me. Mm-hmm. I got my son his first room for, I think was it either homecoming or prom night for him to go have sex because I don't want to be in a car having sex. That's how open I am with my kids. When my daughters turn 14, let's go get on birth control. Not because I'm so open and you can just go fucking do this and that. No. I want to make sure that my kids are protected the right way. And right. I don't want to be the type of parent that when you come to me, I'm going to belittle you. And then you'll be out there trying to figure out shit on your own with your friends, and then you be all fucked off. So let me do how my mama done me, And for me, it turned out way better with my kids being that way because now, do they tell me everything? Of course they don't. But we have these open conversations to where there's no hiding or no sugarcoating anything because that's how my mom raised me. So I had one parent that was my best friend and one parent who I felt was more of a warden or general, my dad. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm older, neither one was wrong in raising me. They raised me the best way that they knew how. Of course, I took more to my mom because I had that open dialect with her. But I'm grateful for my dad being very strict and stern because he pushed me to points in my life that I didn't think I'll be able to make it to. Mm-hmm. So I'm grateful for both of the way for how they raised me both,
It sounds like you actually had balance.
You know what is funny when you say that? I never saw it like that. I never saw it as balance. I saw on one hand, I got a parent trying to control. On the other hand, I got a mama who's like, baby, go live life and do life, you know? And the crazy thing when I got pregnant, in my early 20s in college. And the wild thing was my mama was distraught. She just went bananas, like, oh my God, your life is ruined. What about college? You gonna be a dropout. Your life is just gonna be messed up. My daddy, on the other hand, a preacher too now. We gonna deal with it.
Oh.
That was my daddy. And my daddy took me and bought me all my maternity clothes, whatever I wanted to eat. He cooked it. My daddy was, I must say, golden. My mama, I didn't expect that from her like that. I was hurt. I was like, I can't believe this.
Oh.
You know, so it's crazy how when my life changed, how they both changed, you know, because they wasn't expecting that. But
in high school, and I like to kind of zero in on that moment like that senior year where, you know, society, parents, and everybody's like, okay, so Muffin, what do you want to do when you grow up? What did that look like for you?
That looks like I had to do what my daddy said. That's what that was.
Did you ever have any thoughts of your own? Can you ever recall like striving or being interested in something, having a passion about something? You'd be like,
High school, middle school and high school, no. I remember being young, and I think that maybe most of us can relate to this when you're younger. Middle school, elementary school, going into middle school, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a teacher or a daycare worker or a chef. Like those are things that I used to love doing. Like I used to sit in the window and draw.
you draw?
I used to draw, but my dad raised me on his own, and being a man, he didn't spend a lot of time to help me nurture what I had inside me. So I can't sit here and say that I just knew dead out. I remember my 8th grade year in school. No. 8th grade year going into high school. I didn't know until my 10th grade year. We went to it was called Stillwell Technical Center. And that's where you go to, you know, automotive, cosmetology, hospitality, and all that. We went and we toured, and they took you through each program in the city, and I went through the CNA program. And I really liked what they were doing, and I was like, I want to be a CNA. And so I got into that program, and of course from there, quite naturally, being a nurse grew from that. And my dad was like, it was always, and as any parent, go be a nurse practitioner. That's what you need to be. Mm-hmm. So that's what my goal was set on, because that's what my daddy said I needed to be. I knew I wanted to be a nurse. And I didn't think of anything outside of nursing. I just knew I wanted to be a nurse. Nursing school was really tough. My goal was always set on to be a nurse, but not just a nurse. It was a nurse practitioner.
So this is after high school, so you're in 19, 20, 21, so you're hitting that young adult mark. So we see you're in school. Mm-hmm. How's nursing school going at this point?
I had a baby.
You had a baby by then?
I had a baby by then. And I remember when I got pregnant, I was pregnant in college. I remember I was in chemistry, and I hated, like, I barely passed chemistry with a D, trying to break down them compound formulas. That shit was so fucking hard. And I got that D, and I ran with that D. I was like, fuck that, horrible pass.
What you said.
And I remember being pregnant. It was a Sunday. Me and my sister was both sitting at the table looking at the paper. And my daddy looked at me and said, you ain't gonna finish college. And that hurt so bad. And me and my sister looked at each other. I said, I can't believe he just said that to me. And she said, girl, he using reverse psychology on you. But me knowing who my daddy was, I was like, fuck him. I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna finish school. You know, but I know when I graduated, he was proud, but nursing school whooped my ass. I had a baby. He was young, like a baby.
the father of your baby, was this the first like real relationship that you had?
It was the first relationship I had. I was young. To this day, you couldn't have told me back then that that was supposed to be the man I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with. And because my dad was a preacher, traditional Baptist, very big in church, I had to get married because I was pregnant. And
So oh wow, so you were married, and
we ended up getting married. My son might have been, we got married right when my son maybe was around almost 1.
okay.
We ended up getting married, and I didn't want to we were supposed to get married sooner than that, but I didn't want to marry. He was going to marry me, and I didn't want him to marry me because my dad said we had to, so I wouldn't marry him. I wanted him to marry me because he wanted to. And so some months passed, and he finally was like, I really do want to marry. We went through it. We went through a lot, but being in school, nursing school was a journey all in its own. I struggled a lot. I flunked out of nursing school for my bachelor's in nursing. I flunked out of that, and I went right into the LVN program. Went straight through and passed, and by that time, I got pregnant with my second child. And because of how strict my daddy was and how much his opinion mattered to me and making sure that I didn't embarrass him, I was married and pregnant and so afraid to tell my daddy I was pregnant again. I was so afraid. I remember I had to leave work because I was feeling horrible. My back was hurting so bad. And that's when I found out I was pregnant. And when I called my daddy, I remember I said, hey, I got some news for you. He was like, and I didn't sound excited. I was like, I'm pregnant again. And my dad was like, oh, baby. And to hear the excitement in his voice, it made me feel good about being pregnant because I was really disappointed in myself because I wasn't where I felt like I should have been in life because of the standards and expectations my daddy placed on me.
So you became your daddy to yourself.
I did. And for years.
Wow.
For years, because I didn't have that RN behind my name, because every accomplishment I would have, it was always that's good, but from my daddy. And so because I didn't have RN behind my name, I felt less of. I didn't feel accomplished. I felt like everybody else was winning in life, but that I carried that, I would say into my late 30s, early 40s. I carried that feeling with finishing what I started and not being good enough in my eyes, because in my daddy's eyes I wasn't good enough because I didn't have RN. And so I really looked down on myself, and that was something that I had to break out of. I don't know what made me break out of it, but that by itself was tough enough, and it goes to show how when you let somebody else's expectations and society dictate how your life is supposed to be, you'll keep yourself in this box that will really alter your thought process and hide how great you are, because you're so worried about what others see and think and not what's best for you. And that's where I was for a long time.
Really just not even giving yourself to celebrate, not giving yourself the opportunity to celebrate the wins.
I didn't know how. Nobody told me to celebrate my wins. We didn't talk about celebrating your wins back then. We didn't talk about self-love, how to lift yourself up, self-respect, living your life according to the terms you see fit. That wasn't taught, even though my mom, like my dad would always say my mom was a free spirit, because my mom will pick up and go. When she got tired of a place, my mom will pick up and bounce. Look like, I don't know why this is in my mind. Bounce on your ass like booty cheeks from Megan Thee Stallion. I don't know why that's on my coming out. The chicken would bounce, and wherever she lands, she always landed on her feet. No matter where she went, she would start a life, get a job, get an apartment, get a car, do good every time. And I have a lot of that in me.
Y'all didn't necessarily talk about it. It sounds like, but she was showing you kind of in her life what her self-love looked like, with making sure, her wins look like it was more so, it looks to me like it was exhibited more than it was talked about.
It wasn't. It's funny you say that because whenever I do things, I would say to myself, "Man, I'm doing just like my mama." And when I would say it, it wasn't in a positive way, it was in a negative way. And I would hear her voice instantly saying, "Yeah, but you're doing it way better than that." And I would hear that play constantly. And then now it's kind of like, damn, I'm doing just like chicken. Damn, I'm proud of me. And it's funny because she showed me so much of what standing on your own 2 feet looked like. And chicken was always winning. And because we think winning should be a certain way because society says it's supposed to be, and that's not the case. And if you stay tied into what society says what success and winning look like, you'll never reach your full potential.
It sounds like the theme of being a free spirit, or just getting up and moving when you're not satisfied and living life on your own terms, kind of had a negative connotation, in your mind, whether it was placed by society or your dad, if somebody said, "Oh, she's just a free spirit," like it was a bad thing, and maybe so when you started to do some of these similar actions, you yourself felt bad because you felt like you were
I
doing
would say yes.
a bad thing. When actuality, like self-preservation is a motherfucker.
You know what, and it is, and it's funny you say that because she done it with young kids. Because I was the youngest, like I said. I remember being in between pre-K and probably 3rd or 4th grade. Come home from school, mama not there. You run to the closet. Oh, the suitcase is gone. So that means she ain't coming back for a while. So it became